Hi, this is Penny Lane, and you're on a trip with Penny Lane. We are in Nashville, Tennessee, at Two Old Hippies, and I'm so excited. We've got Josh Gooch with us. How you doing?
I'm doing real well.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So great, you've just had an exciting career.
It's been a nice run so far. It's hopefully just starting out, you know.
Yeah. So tell me, when you first got started in music, how old were you?
I started playing guitar when I was 13 years old, and it was actually because somebody stole my skateboard.
Are you serious? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I grew up in San Diego, and that was that was what I did. I skateboarded. You either surf or skateboard, or you're a weirdo. That's the way it works there. So I skateboarded my whole life, and I got a new board, and somebody stole it, and I had no money because I was 13.
Right. So what kind of board was it?
It was a nice board. It was like the best Christmas present I ever had. It was like a birdhouse skateboard. I loved it. I had it for like 2 weeks, and somebody stole it, and I didn't have any money left. I mean, that was it. So I was like, I need to figure something out because I'm so bored right now. And my dad played acoustic guitar, and I literally went inside and picked up his like 1963 nylon string like classical guitar that his mom bought at Sears. And so my grandma had owned it forever, and ended up picking it up and learning like a Green Day song the first day. And the first day I played for like 10 hours and fell asleep with the guitar on my chest, and my mom found me and was like, "Uh-oh, we've got a problem." But they've been so supportive. It's been great.
You sort of had the skateboard blues, huh?
Skateboard blues,
right?
Yeah, that's why I got into the blues. I had no skateboard, and I needed some way to get it out, you know.
So that's pretty cool. So, do you remember, as far as like some of you said Green Day was the first song you listened to?
Yeah,
some of your early influences?
When I first started playing guitar, I was actually into like a lot of punk rock stuff, because I was 13 and rebellious, or thought I was, and I mean, I was really into that, and it's actually great. It's a great genre to start with guitar because it's very simplistic, but you get the energy out. It's very inspirational when you first start because you can actually play the songs kind of right off the bat. And there's something nice about feeling like you really know a song, and the energy involved there was, perfect for my age. And I ended up moving on pretty quickly from that, but it was a great base to start with as like just knowledge of like basic guitar, like rudimentary stuff.
So after that, what was the first band you were in?
I was actually never in a band. Nobody played instruments. Like, I didn't have friends that played, so I mean, I would go to school, hang out with my friends, and then come home and play all day and all night, and would not sleep, basically, and then go to school the next day.
I see that you played for hours, like 6-7 hours a day.
More than that most of the time. I mean, it was like an obsession, but it wasn't like work. Like, it just was
fun.
It was fun, and I just did it. I couldn't not do it. And I mean, I just loved it. I mean, I still do, but at that time it was so new, and it was this just amazing thing that I was like, I'm gonna conquer this and figure this thing out. But yeah, I was very isolated. It was like literally like the artists that I was playing with on the records, they, like, when it came to music, those were the people I learned from. It was, indirect. They weren't giving me real lessons, but playing along to the Allman Brothers and stuff like that, you learn how to improvise. You learn how to play with other musicians. So I mean, really, those were the people I played with. Were my favorite records. Those were,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you worked with the producer for the Allman Brothers, right?
I did.
Is that right?
I did actually. When I was 17 years old, my dad ended up talking to a lady at his work, and she said that she used to date Greg Allman in the 60s, and she said, I don't have his contact anymore, but there's this producer, Johnny Sandlin, who produced Brothers and Sisters, which was their first like record that had like #1 hits on it. And she's like, I have his email. Just take this. So I ended up going to a Boys and Girls Club and recording just me playing to some backing tracks I had, and sent it off to his email. And I didn't expect anything back. I just thought maybe at most he's gonna be like, hey, I like this, keep it up. And that was like that was my like wildest dreams when it came to sending this stuff off. And like 2 weeks later, I get a phone call in Chili's with my mom. And like, it's like this accent's so strong, I can't even understand him. I ended up having to go outside, and he's like, this is Johnny Sandlin. Is this Josh Gooch? And so we ended up talking, and he flew me out to Alabama to record on a bunch of records at his house, where he recorded some amazing stuff for like Greg Allman in the past, and the Allman Brothers, and it was amazing, and it was the first time I realized like I can actually do this for a living. Like this is I can do this, you know.
So you walk back into Chili's. What'd you say to your mom?
I told her what happened, and she was like, "Go for it."
Oh wow.
We bought the ticket the next day, and I left about a month later.
So how old were you?
I was 17.
17.
Yeah, and I mean, I was at that point. I wanted to do music professionally, but it was coming to that point where it's like you either choose to go to college or music, or you can try to do music while you're in college, which is so difficult. And that was that tipped it over to that. I'm just going to go for it, and this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. I'm doing it. I'm just going to go for it.
So after that, what happened? Because you've had a pretty amazing career. So.
Yeah, well, basically, I ended up staying out in Alabama for a while, playing on a bunch of sessions with Johnny, and I ended up, staying out there for a while, and Then I moved back to San Diego, and I ended up entering the King of the Blues competition, and at the national final.
Right. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. It was crazy. My parents convinced me to do it. They're like, just try it, because I had done it the year before and I lost. I lost the first round, and they told me, come back next year, you'll do better. And I was so mad the first year because I'm like, it's not your, decision to make that for me. But it ended up working out perfectly because I had improved a lot in that year. And at the national final, actually, Robert Knight was the photographer. We exchanged information that night, and Robert started managing me from that night.
Did he?
And then all this other crazy stuff has happened since then.
Yeah. So tell me what you thought, since you've been working with Robert.
I mean, Robert's he's such an amazing guy. I mean, I've never met anybody as passionate as him in my life, and it's just amazing to see, after doing it for as long as he's been doing it, that the enthusiasm is not left. It's completely there, and every day he spends around music, around guitar, around people that are creative, and it's just really inspirational. I mean, I can't even explain all the things I've learned from him and the people he's introduced me to. It's really special.
Now, one of the things he did, he paired you with Beth Hart, is that right?
Well, the first thing we ended up doing was I ended up getting an audition for Koshi Inaba, who's in a Japanese band called Bees. And they've sold 120 million records in Japan, the Bees have. And I had never heard of them, but they sing in Japanese, and Americans don't know them. But in Japan, they're like the Rolling Stones or the Beatles. They're so massive. And he got me an audition with them. At first, they didn't want to do it because they found out I was 18 at the time. And they're like, no, sorry, it's too young. And Robert convinced them to at least let me try out. And I spent a week without sleep learning their songs, learning every single part from the bass stuff to knowing when I immersed myself in it. And a couple weeks later, the same thing as Johnny, they called me and were like, we want you to be the guitar player for Koshi. And I went to Japan and was there for 4 months touring and playing arenas, and we filmed a DVD at Budokan. We did 3 sold-out nights.
Wow.
And yeah, my family got to come out and see me play, in front of 20,000 people. And
that's crazy.
It was amazing. So that was the first big thing that I did. And then it's progressed. Then the next year I ended up playing with Beth Hart when she was promoting the record she had just done with Joe Bonamassa, Don't Explain. And we did, a bunch of festivals playing in front of 70,000 people in Europe, and it was absolutely amazing. I'd never been over to Europe, and the audiences were so great over there. It was awesome.
Yeah, I've always heard that about Europe. Of course, tell us about what the scene's like there, the music scene.
Well, they're very intense listeners. They're sometimes they'll, depending on which country you're in, it'll change, but. Some countries will be so quiet during the song, and then after they'll go insane and just clap for days. And then some countries, they'll be just sitting there with their jaw open, loving the music, but they'll be very quiet and respectful of, if you're in a small room, they don't want to talk over the musicians. And
that's cool, though.
So it's a totally different vibe. In the States, a lot of times people are really rowdy and super openly into the music, and Asia's the opposite. It's a lot like Europe, where they're very quiet, but they'll be going crazy with their body, but they're not yelling. I love seeing how the different cultures are different audiences. You know what I mean?
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
That's neat. So, at what point? Now, you said that you were going to play in Las Vegas, and tell us about that.
Yeah. So I ended up, getting an audition for Shania Twain, who's, I mean, in my wildest dreams, I never would have thought that I would be auditioning for her. And yeah, it was the same thing as the other stuff, where I didn't sleep at all and just learned the music inside and out, and went in just not with the expectation I'd get the gig, just to go in and I'm going to give it all I got and we'll find out what happens. And ended up getting it. And now we're doing 2 years at Caesar's Palace. It's a rotating residency with Rod Stewart, Celine Dion, and Elton John, and then us. You know, Shania Twain's there, and we basically have 2 years where we play there 60 shows a year. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. We just did our first run in December 2012, and it was her first show she'd played in I think 9 or 10 years, and it was great. The audiences were amazing, and the stage at the Coliseum is just mind-blowing. It's great.
That's awesome. Now, tell me about, you write your own music.
Yeah, I write my own music, yeah.
As far as, when did you first start writing your own music, as far as songs?
I started writing my own songs the last 2 years. It's been a fairly recent thing. I had always written pieces of music, but I'd never written vocal melodies and lyrics and things like that. And in the last 2 years, that's been my entire focus. It's taken over my whole life. I absolutely love writing songs, and I have a writing team back in LA with two of my best friends, and one's my girlfriend, Bo Riley and Noah Bartfield. They're the other two writers, and we have a writing team that we write for ourselves and play shows together, and then we also write for other artists for records coming out of Nashville mainly.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So how's the writing team work? I've never heard of that before.
It's basically, I mean, we all write music on our own, and we all do all three things, which is, you know, vocal melodies, chords, and lyrics. But we each have kind of our specialty. Mine is more the music, and Noah's like the melody master, and then Bo is like the lyric. She's like the most amazing lyricist I've ever met in my life. And so that's kind of how it works, is we all kind of bring our, you know, expertises together, but and it ends up working. It's so fun to work with them. I mean, it's when I'm back in Los Angeles, that's my main thing, is just writing and recording with them. We have our own studio, and we basically live, eat, and sleep there.
Where can we find you online? Tell us about your
you
website.
can go to joshgooch.com, or you can find me on Twitter and Facebook at Josh Gooch, or just facebook.com/Josh Gooch. And all my shows are on there, and any sort of update in my life is going to be thrown right onto social media.
Appreciate you coming up.
Very nice. Yeah.
Thank you.